What does everyone think about that anti-work Fox News interview? It is one of those classic Reddit moments that will be posted again and again. That mod is a stereotype. Fox didn't need to attack or argue. They found a human meme. The person didn't even make their bed to be seen on national TV. The jokes wrote themselves. Dude, I think they just threw everyone out and made it private. Edit. Apparently everyone from anti-work is going to work reform now to regroup. That mod completely destroyed that subreddit. I think it's funny, but not surprising, how the mods of the sub are trying to censor it. I'm all for the movement of standing up to employers, businesses that treat their employees like shit. But Jesus Christ, you're going on national television, it takes like 3 minutes of work to make yourself look presentable. If the goal of the interviewee was to enforce the stereotype of a Reddit moderator, they did an excellent job. For those who have no idea what everyone is talking, here you go. Here is the interview that took place. Watch then answer. Edit. Antiwork has also officially set their community to private. They are getting so much backlash and cannot currently handle it. This day has really been a fall from grace for them, it seems. Possibly the worst mainstream media appearance Reddit has ever had. I think it made all of Reddit look bad actually. Had some work been put into preparation, the interview probably would have gone smoother. Can't wait for the Internet Historian video about this to come out, in 2 years. The subreddit is now private with 0 members. Looks like the interview literally killed the whole sub. Wish I could say I'm surprised. Simply astounding. That anchor couldn't have planned it any better. In order to get the interview they wanted, it had all the greatest hits. 30-year-old who looks like she lives in her parents' basement and hasn't bathed in a week. Moderator of an online forum called Anti-Work. Works 25 hours per week walking dogs and thinks she's being forced to work too much. Would be a professor if she wasn't forced into this cruel life of servitude. What kind of professor? Philosophy. She literally could have said any subject, and she chose philosophy. Doreen may as well have been a willing participant in her own delegitimization. Edit. Her. I think everyone, no matter how they identify politically, went, yikes. The person who was being interviewed not only seemed completely unprepared, but also just looked unkempt and dirty. And even as a moderate, more left-leaning person, I have to admit Fox News was smart and knew exactly what they were doing when they picked that mod to be interviewed. Anti-work mod not putting in enough work for the interview, is quite funny considering the sub-name. Why does Doreen look like what everyone imagines a Reddit mod to look like? Watching the interview now. Yeah. They picked the worst person to interview for Fox News. 25 hours a week dog walker that wants to work less. I always felt that anti-work was about getting fair treatment in the workforce as a laborer. Whether it be pushing a calculator, flipping burger or laying bricks. Work-life balance and not being a slave to your health insurance. Fucking embarrassing. It really solidifies the idea Reddit mods are losers. I think it was embarrassing, selfish and a huge disservice to the movement. Fuck that person. Infuriating. I laughed out loud multiple times. That's exactly what I expected a mod of anti-work to be like. A 30-year-old dog walker who wants to be a critical thinking teacher. I'd call it a train wreck, but it feels insulting to train wrecks. That guy was pretty much the manifestation of what everyone thinks the average Redditor looks like. The anti-work movement has real value, but yikes, what a setback. The mod was a moron. They wanted their 15 minutes of fame and flew too close to the sun. Fox got the intended result all due to someone being so stupid and accepting an interview that was always going to be made into a hit piece. The mod that accepted the interview request after the entire sub voted no is a true arsehat. Absolutely confirming the bias that Fox viewers already had. Then the banning and refusal to accept criticism or responsibility, just a FKN waste of a powerful sub. FKN dumbass. Fox wanted a clown and got an entire circus happy crying face. That individual matched my mental image of a Reddit moderator exactly. So much has become clear to me now. The mod banned everyone in that sub who mentioned how cringy it was. They sure chose an effective representative for their movement. Really made the sub look good. Edit. It seems the sub is now private. Oof. Rules when doing an interview with one of the largest news networks in the world who also happen to think your cause is a joke. Take it fucking seriously. Look at the camera, know what you're talking about, and don't be flicking around screens and doing other work while the interview is ongoing. This was an unmitigated disaster. The epitome of Reddit mods. Was that guy such a loser he couldn't be fucking bothered to fucking shower beforehand? Just watched the video. This guy says he has a 20-25 hour work week and that walking dogs is something he loves to do, but she still wants fewer hours. 2025 is already an incredibly short work week. What more could she want? It's hilarious and a completely accurate representation of who they are, lazy, delusional man-children who want free money for nothing. The guy put as much thought and preparation into the interview as he has his teaching career. It was such a layup for Fox, that Jesse Waters barely had to say anything. Now they're private, Massive cringe. I really wish they took someone like an overworked nurse and not a mod. At least that would be a more accurate representation. I'm more annoyed at that mop of an mod and the anti-work's heavy banning and censorship about any of the criticism. Absolute unmitigated disaster for anti-work, only compounded by their shit reaction of trying to censor discussion about it. That interview might have single-handedly killed all momentum the movement has gained up until this point. It was a laughable shambles and I hope the mod interviewed takes a good, long, hard look at themselves and goes outside to touch some grass. And then comes inside to have a fucking shower. I was explaining to my wife how Reddit mods can remove posts, but she didn't believe me when I said they aren't paid. She didn't understand how anyone could put in that much time on something like this for free. This interview makes it so much easier to explain. The interview exposed the world to the cringy side of Reddit. People laughed, and that's about all that will come of it on that front. I believe it also showed the anti-work subreddit the fact that half of their members are that guy, and now they're in crisis. I appreciate that there are rational adults with real concerns in that group who are trying to make it a legitimate movement. Unfortunately, with any social movement, especially one called anti-work, you'll have people who misunderstand it and or try to take advantage of it. Over the next few weeks we'll see if the subreddit collapses or comes out stronger with a more unified message. This is as Reddit as it ever gets. A janitor couldn't resist their 15 million of fame and chose to declare themselves leader of and spokesperson for 1.7 M people, and single-handedly played into the worst misconceptions the general public have about vocal agitators for US labor reform. Shit sucks. Was the literal embodiment of the term filthy commie. Made him look like some certified clowns. Hook, line and sinker for Fox. Mod was an absolute joke. Dude was talking about how 20 hours of work was a bit much for him. There are a lot of M like that in anti-work, and deservedly they will probably never win anything. Gotta work for any victory, unfortunately. In 100% for pay increases, safer conditions, and full unionization in every industry. But this dude is useless. Only workers should represent workers, and this dude is a freeloader who clearly doesn't pay for where he stays. And he barely works. How does the anti-work movement apply to a fucking 20 hours per week job that he could leave anytime? Honestly, good on Fox for once they called out a cancer in the movement, so hopefully now we can actually focus on better rights, powers, and conditions for people who really need them. He deserves to be mocked. I saw the clip shared on Cringetopia. I didn't get the big deal, myself. People in the comments seem to attack their appearance and autistic traits, and I think that's mean. Probably not a good idea for them to be interviewed, especially on Fox. I don't know much about anti-work aside from the posts that pop up on all sometimes.